What's going on, guys? How are we doing? I wanted to do something easy tonight. It's a bit late, and I just finished watching, so I thought it would be fun to talk to you guys about it and see what your opinions are and all that. So I just finished watching The Boys. I watched the series finale, and I don't know, I thought maybe we could just talk about it for a few minutes and I don't know, go over the points. Now, I'm gonna say it now, I didn't read the comic books or anything. I know a little bit about the comic books, but I didn't read them, and I don't know everything completely, but I do know the show is different from the source material. However, I do know basically the biggest stuff, and the ending was quite different in the show. Now, I am a Eric Kripke fan, the showrunner. He created Supernatural, and I really liked Supernatural. But there were things in the finale that I wasn't very crazy about. There were some things I understood, but there were some things I was like, okay, I don't know if I really see why they did that now. There are spoilers in this, so if you haven't watched it, don't listen to this. But, yeah. So it was very satisfying, the fight between Butcher and Homelander at the end. You see a very good showcase of Butcher's powers and his fighting, his fighting style, and how it's different versus when he fought him when he had the Tempeh in season 3 when they went to Herogasm. But it was just cool to watch him finally really fight him the way Billy usually fights. It was cool, and watching Homelander beg for his life was enjoyable, I guess, because after all the stuff he did during all the seasons of The Boys, it's like he finally gets what he deserves type thing. But the whole idea of giving Kimiko the chest blast that Soldier Boy has, and then stripping Homelander of his powers and then killing him, it was okay, I guess. It just kind of like took away the whole point of Soldier Boy being experimented on for such a long time. If they were able to replicate his power, but it was, I guess, a smart way to go about it. I wasn't also very crazy about what happened after that. That was one of the things that kind of inspired me to like talk about this, I guess. I don't know if my opinion is like different than others. Now, during the fight, when Kimiko goes to blast Homelander, wait, this is a side thing before I continue, before she has trouble blasting Homelander with the chest blast, and she sees Frenchie. I liked that part, because I was really disappointed that he died. I know in the comic books he dies, but they all die, but it was just like, I don't know, he was the only one at that point that you know of that dies, and it was just nice to see him kind of beat the heart and remind Kimiko where her power came from and what made her special to him and what makes her special and what makes her strong. That was nice. It was also cool to see Ryan come in and help Butcher and Kimiko take out Homelander. And like I said, that whole fight scene was really good. satisfyingly kills Homelander, very similarly to how he does it in the comic books. Everything seemingly is nice, and the boys go and celebrate, and Butcher doesn't have his powers anymore, Ryan doesn't have his powers anymore. They don't really clarify whether Kimiko does or not. I would assume she does. But, eventually we see Butcher find his dog, Terror, had passed away, and it doesn't seem like he was, like, murdered or anything. The dog just died of old age, and this sends Butcher off the edge, and he decides that he wants to take the virus and release it in the Vought Tower using the sprinkler system. It was Frenchie's idea. And Huey goes in and has to stop him. And I understand that he loved the dog and that it, like, got to him, and I understand he gives a whole speech after, like, why he wants to release the virus and why the soups need to all be exterminated and stuff, but I didn't really much care for the fact that the whole reason why Butcher, like, snapped and wanted to release the virus was because his dog passed away from old age. I was like, I understand that sucks, but what does that have to do with everything they just accomplished? Like, they managed to get rid of Homelander and stop everything he was doing, trying to reboot the universe, claiming to be God and all that, and I understand soups are still a problem, but just the way it was, like, segued, I guess, or whatever, from them winning against Homelander to Butcher then wanting to release the virus anyway. I didn't understand, though. I didn't think it was the best, but anyways, we got to see finally Huey having to do what we figured he would have to do, be the canary that doesn't die because of Butcher, but has to kill him. And the thing that I didn't really like also was that after they fight, actually the fight between Huey and Butcher was pretty cool. I was surprised that Butcher really beat the shit out of him like that, and Huey actually got a couple of shots in. That was nice, but Huey shot Butcher, and it shows you in the show that Butcher finally realized that he was actually not going to release the virus. He lifted his finger off the trigger that would have released the virus using the sprinkler system. And, like, literally half a second after that, he gets shot because Huey doesn't see that. And as Butcher is dying, he doesn't tell Huey that he was gonna stop. He actually tells him that he didn't give Huey a choice and that he was never going to stop. So I don't really know how I feel about that either, because I mean, a lot of the time there's a lot of redemption arcs in, like, stories like this, and like there's a couple in, like, Supernatural and, like, Kripke's style and all that, and I just thought that it would have been nice for us to actually see Butcher show people that he wasn't as much of a bad person as he is accused of being throughout the series, because he decided to do good. But he ends up dying and bringing that with him to the grave, I guess, so people still think he's just the guy he was the entire time. They don't actually know that he finally was going to be able to pull himself back, or be pulled back by the canary also, and be able to be better. I thought that would have been cool to explore instead of having it kind of, like, kept for the viewer and Butcher keeping it for himself type thing. I also kind of found episode. When they're going to attack Homelander, that whole thing kind of felt like really quick, where like Ashley helps the boys get through to Homelander, and then when they get through to the Deep, Starlight kind of leaves to fight the Deep. She like flies into him and flies away from the White House, and the rest of the boys are there to take out Homelander, and she fights the Deep on her own. I kind of found, like, I don't know, I thought it would have been important for Starlight to be there for the end of Homelander, because she was such a big part of the whole thing of being a soup that does right against the soups that don't. But anyway, the fight between her and the Deep was cool, but I mean, again, the Deep wasn't really a character I cared for anyways. I don't understand how he made it all the way to the end. And there is a part in the episode where Homelander really, like, says mean shit to the Deep, and I kind of found it funny that it wasn't more emphasized or more highlighted that the way Homelander thinks and feels about the Deep is the way, like, kind of Stan Edgar and Soldier Boy would talk to him sometimes, or like say what he actually was. And it was funny that Homelander had this opinion of the Deep and said these things to the Deep, yet he was like that as well. I found that to be kind of like the pot calling the kettle black type of thing, and like Homelander doesn't realize it and nobody says anything else about it. I don't know. Or maybe I just see it that way. I don't know. I thought that was a little bit weird. And also, that Soup O father that Ashley is married to or whatever, he's kind of there a lot at the end for some fighting. Not a lot, but he's there a little bit before they get to Homelander and start fighting him, and I kind of thought that it was like, this guy's like a little bit like taking up a lot of space and time here. Like, they should have been able to wipe him out like quickly, I guess. And at one point he like does his power and like screams in and like breaks through the door where in the room where the boys are, and like a bunch of furniture goes flying and the boys go flying and they all get smashed by a bunch of stuff, and nothing happens to Huey, and he's like 100% human. I was like, okay, he probably would have actually gotten hurt in like earlier episodes or in like reality. Obviously it's different, but you know what I mean. Like, it probably would have been like something that slows them down if it wasn't like the last episode of the show. But anyway, so yeah, overall I guess it was a good episode. I don't know, I found it like kind of bad that it was only Frenchie and Butcher of the boys that like died compared to the way it was in the comics, and for Butcher to die for the reason that he did and the way that he did and all that stuff, I kind of like understand. There's like some parts of the story that get like tied up for that, but other parts that it's kind of like, I don't want to say cop out, but I feel like kind of cheap or something. I don't know. Overall, like, The Boys was one of my favorite shows of all time. Actually, I really, really liked the show when I started watching it, and I don't know, it was good, but I don't know, maybe I would have done things differently, a few things here and there. But yeah, it was just honestly more so the whole thing with Butcher at the end that I wasn't fond of. The beginning of the episode, there wasn't really that much memorable stuff. It was like, I don't know, it kind of started slow and then like moved really quickly. I don't know if the episode kind of felt like it had like a different pace throughout certain parts of it. I don't know, or maybe that's just me because I was tired when I watched it. But I don't know. It was good, but I don't know, for the final episode of the series, I was not disappointed at all. I was just kind of hoping for something maybe a little different, but parts. If you want to talk about other stuff about the show, let me know in the comments if you want to talk about different shows. I know there's Gen V. I watched that. I know that's in the Boys universe, and Vought Rising is coming out. It's like a prequel show with Soldier Boy and Stormfront. Back then she was known as Liberty. So let's see how that goes. We can talk about those at some point. Yeah, most of the rest of the episode was kind of like just tying up Frenchie dying in the beginning, Sage losing her powers, and then the boys going in. I know there's a whole scene with Homelander and Ryan. Nothing crazy there, but anyways, let me know what you guys thought. I'm excited to hear your guys' opinions. I hope this little ramble helped you sleep and my voice helped you relax and tingled a little bit. Hopefully some of